Hello, Sonja, and welcome to this week's episode. How are you today?
Thank you for having me, Donna, my love. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, thank you for being a guest. I'm very excited to share you to the world. So, a little bit
Mhm.
of backstory with us is we live in Perth, WA, but that's not where you're originally from. But you can talk about that. You've got a beautiful Irish accent. Um, and we've got a really lovely business community and women in business community in Perth. And I was lucky to connect with you, and we've created a beautiful friendship because I did help with your daughter's Saige's sleep, which was
Yes, you
amazing.
did.
And
You
so
saved me from a very dark time.
yes, and so we have become friends. So today, and also I'll get Sonia to explain what she does as a woman in business, but she is known as the Google search queen, search expert. So that's her business side of things. But today we're not talking about that. I have got Sonia on to talk about her journey with infertility. And she has been openly sharing that story with everybody. And I think it's fantastic to share stories because there'll be so many people out there going through it, and hopefully make them feel that they're not alone. So I'd love for you to share your journey. I'd love for us to have these conversations about what you felt helped. I know
Mhm.
that you took lots of different routes on getting there, and
Mhm.
give some people some hope. So tell
Yeah,
me all about it.
absolutely. As you know, Donna, I like fertility for me is a massive passion project. And the reason being is that when we found out our situation was going to be a bit complicated, I never thought I'd get to the other side of being able to have our kids. So I was there to myself, okay, well, I'm going to make a vow to myself that if we ever do have our kids, I'm going to share it far and wide and turn it into something positive for the
Did you
greater
feel
good.
that? Did you feel that when you were going through that
My
traumatic time?
darkest day, yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, if I ever have kids, I'm literally
yeah,
like 100%
so
turning
good.
this into something positive because nobody talks about it, right?
They
So,
don't.
yeah,
All the deep, dark stuff, people don't talk about it, but that's the human experience. Everyone's going through shit at different times, and if someone like yourself can share, it's beautiful. So that's amazing.
yeah, and I just think that when I was going through, it was just like I felt like I was the only person. So it all started really. We got married. And I'll show you the divine timing of sequences
Yes.
around business and all that, and why it happened the way it happened, because everything happens when it's meant to. And I know that to be true based on this journey. So we got me and Kevin got married in September. I should know this. September 2018. No, but I got mixed up because my business actually was founded in August 2018, so a month before I got married. And then we got married in September 2018. And then I started trading in the October 2018. So we were always going to wait for a while to try for kids. And then we were actually on our honeymoon. And we're like, oh, we saw this like beautiful baby with this lovely couple in Rome. And it was like, let's just try for baby straight away. And
Mm,
then we were like, okay, cool. It was like, let's give it a crack. It was very exciting.
yeah.
And it didn't happen. And then the next month it didn't happen. And then it was Christmas time. And it was just like, oh, I remember my first Christmas, even though we were only trying for like 3 months then.
Still every
I
month,
I'd like when I look at like the length of the journey in total was like 3 years. But when I look at that was such the very early stages of our journey that Christmas for me was just the hardest Christmas I've ever went through because it was like I got my period like the 21st of December, so very close to Christmas. And then on Christmas Eve, one of the friends that I was friends with actually announced she was pregnant. And 2 weeks before that, my best friend announced she was pregnant.
Oh
And I
goodness.
was like, oh, but I was
Congratulations.
like, I was delighted for them, but I was just gutted for us. I wish it was us.
Yeah.
Because I just thought you get married, you have kids. That's the way society tells
The
you it
narrative
happens.
story, yeah, for sure.
It really is. And it didn't happen that way. So then something deep down always kind of sat with me that something wasn't right.
Right.
And my family are very fertile. Like my mom was always like, oh, you'll have no problem getting pregnant. So that was something that was just deep down in me that there was something that
Sorry.
wasn't right. Then we proceeded to continue trying in January, and then in February had a horrendous period, and I thought I was miscarrying actually. And I nearly passed out with the pain, and Kevin, I was like white. I really never experienced anything like it. So I said I might as well go to a gynecologist just to make sure everything's fine. And then they said, oh, we might as well test you for fertility as well. So then they tested the two of us, and then in the 16th of March 2019, we were told the road to having our babies was going to be very, very complicated. I swear to God, that day for me,
Oh, it would have been
blood
awful.
drained from my face. It was just now horrific. Like it was, yeah, it was really, really tough to get that news. So anyway, we walked away from that appointment and we were like, okay, what do we do now? And we just said, we're trying to be there for one another. And all the while, Kevin's dad was actually sick with stage 4 cancer. So we had been home in the January to spend some quality time with him, but we were aware that he was going to pass away. So then in May, we were going home for his sister's wedding, and we got a call the week before to say, pack funeral outfits. His dad is most likely going to die. So after the wedding, so we went home. We actually spent a total of 7 weeks in Ireland, and his dad passed away, and we spent another 2 weeks after that, which was really, really tough. And then from there, not only were we dealing with the fertility side of things, we were dealing with the grief of his dad, because his dad was amazing. Like he was just the light of everyone's life. He was the most amazing man. He really was. And then we just proceeded to do more research about like our options, and it just felt like everything was an obstacle. Like time after time was just like knockback after knockback. And then Kevin's dad passed away in the December. Granddad, sorry, I said granddad, didn't I? Baby brain. I'm pregnant, just for anybody that doesn't know. I've
It's
not stumbled across my words.
the second one.
I'm pregnant with my second, yes, my second baby. So the December, then his grandfather passed away. So 2019 for us was absolutely shite. Like it was, sorry, I shouldn't have cursed, but you know me,
Oh
I'm
no,
Irish.
go for it. You're allowed to swear.
So yeah, 2019 was probably the toughest year of my life, to be honest. Mhm. And that was the first year that my business started trading. So my business started trading from October 2019 is when I officially kind of started trading. But I was under the radar for that whole year, which actually served me, because I went into a downward spiral of mental health, wondering like why me? Like there was days that I couldn't even get out of bed. Like I was crying like uncontrollably. I had
Do
to
you
pull
have
back from
any,
social
were you
media.
getting any support with psychology or counseling at that time? Were you sort of just dealing with it yourself?
I'm very kind of into personal development anyway, and there was, uh, I did go to the doctor because there's this like mental health plan that you could get, but like to be honest, I'm not into talk therapy. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't work for me. I'm all about like, okay, what's the solution? I don't want to keep talking about your
Yeah.
problems. So that didn't work for me. Like so, I
Just
kind of was in a world of pain, and just kind of, I think 2019 was pretty much just trying to go through the motions, but also did kinesiology, Reiki,
all that. And
spiritual
that's what I'm
healing,
actually
that kind
talking
of
about
stuff.
as well. Like it's not just about going to counseling. I'm very much
No,
into all of that energetic healing as well.
I personally don't believe counseling works for me. That's just my opinion. I just think that, yeah, we can be stuck in the story, but we kind of need to see what's next. Okay, what's the stuff that we can do to turn it around, and what are the tools that we can put in our tool belt to help and support us. But then, so that was, yeah, so the first year of my business, I was under the radar. And if I look at it now, it's like that was perfect timing, because I
Imagine,
really,
imagine if you were going
working
through
for somebody and going through fertility, I can
and that
tell
dark.
you, I probably would have lost my job, to be
I know.
honest,
Yeah.
because it was just really, really tough. So I had like 10 clients. My business started by pretty much 10 clients approaching me to say, can you just do your own thing? We just want to work with you. So it was like, I just had those 10 clients for the year, and they replaced my income. And I kind of worked from home under the radar, not really in the social, like I wasn't front and center on social media like I am today. So it served me. It definitely did. It really helped me protect my mental health. But I found myself pulling back from all my friends. Everyone at that time was like, oh, so when are you and Kevin are having kids?
That's
Because
the
we were
other
just
thing,
newly married.
everyone,
Everyone asked this question, Donna.
and
Like
then the
it's
other hard thing being young, and like you just said, friends or not, it's lovely that they're all getting pregnant, but you're all getting pregnant at the same time. So,
oh, and
devastated.
you're so happy for them. You really are. You're just
Well,
devastated for you. So like social media was a massive trigger for me. Going to social gatherings were a massive trigger for me, because like realistically you should be trying for about a year before you even go to a fertility doctor. But
isn't
because
that,
I
I
had a
would
bad,
have known that.
yeah,
Like,
no, well, a doctor, like fertility doctor won't see you unless you've been trying for a year. So,
oh,
and that's where you get a referral. But the fact that I had such a bad period and we were trying for kids, they kind of said, oh, let's just prioritize it. So I knew very early on into our marriage, we both knew what the situation was. So it was like, okay, how do we navigate this? So the questions that we were getting at the social gatherings,
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You
we
just don't
weren't
want
really prepared for it, because all that I just kept saying is like, oh yeah, we're just focusing on my business right now. And that was just like the thing. We're like, we're not sure yet, might wait another year, just to kind of deflect the situation. And then it came to a point where, I was like, oh yeah, well, look, we are having challenges. And then people would come with their
oh
spiels
my
about,
gosh.
oh, I
Um,
know a friend that, no, 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 no. And I'm like, look, I know that they mean well, like, but it was like, for me, I'm like, you really don't understand the situation. So from my experience of going through the journey, no two fertility journeys are the same. So people come from the best of intent, but it's not helpful when people say, oh, this is work, because people don't even know, like,
so,
who in the situation. Is it the man, is it the woman, is it both parties? People just automatically assume it's the woman.
yeah.
So it's kind of a case
Dude,
of,
what is that? What is
it's,
that such a weird thing? Because
yeah,
you, is that just the
it is.
condition? Because we carried them? I don't know.
I honestly don't know, but I also feel like it's just not spoken about either, because of masculinity and all that. But there is,
Yeah.
like, so many people that I know that have struggled, where it's the male. So it's like, yeah, it's one of those things that's just up in the air. But what I found was in the, um sorry, going through that for the first year, it definitely served me having the business to
Yeah.
be able to keep out of the limelight and keep out of the people. But I found myself really kind of closing back and closing off from everybody. I found like the people that kind of not relied on me, but I was the person that was the life and soul of the party. My light just wasn't there. And when my light wasn't there, I found people just distancing more and more
And you
from me
can't,
as well.
exactly. And you can't, the other thing, and, going off subject a bit in regards to the same sort of thing with what happened with my girls, is that sort of darkness that you have. You don't actually want to go out and lie or
No,
pretend, because you're going through so much grief and everyone's like,
yeah.
how are you? Like, no, and you like, actually don't actually want, I'm not okay, like, and that's the
I
hardest thing,
don't
isn't
have the energy to even put on the front, to be honest. That's kind of where I was at, so well done. Like,
it?
it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, yeah, so then 2020, um, I was like, okay, so I can't create this baby here.
Yeah.
This is the situation, but I'm going to create this a beast of a business, because
Yes.
I'll distract myself here. So
Have.
then in 2020, I launched my personal brand and I went balls to the wall with the business. And I was like, okay, let's just put myself out there. Because as well, the results I was getting, like, for these clients, was truly transformational. And I was like, okay, well, it's not about me anymore. I just need to get over myself and put myself out there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, by putting yourself out there in business, you have all these limiting beliefs that you need to fucking face in order to get to the next level, right?
Yeah.
So not only was I dealing with the limiting beliefs from the business, but then obviously dealing with the limiting beliefs with the fertility journey, it was like the biggest catalyst for personal growth, which was the fertility journey, because I wanted this baby so much, but the business was the distraction. I
Yeah.
got addicted to the success of the creation and all of the momentum I was building here. And then I was having this situation here. So hand in hand, the mindset and the healing and the limiting beliefs kind of were one category of its own that I needed to address. Most people, like, the depths of the shadows of the soul that I've went to, most people probably wouldn't go to those depths in business, whereas for me, it was like, well, the biggest reward on the other end, I feel, is my children, and I'm not going to give up. So because I addressed those head on, the business inadvertently exploded, because I done the work on myself, if that makes sense.
And you are a beautiful, for everyone who doesn't know you, you are one of those people that, and I think, you're just one of those beautiful people that driven with your heart and authentic, and everybody feels that. So, like, that's a beautiful story about that. Very traumatic, complex story, but is
Mm,
got this pain of not having a bubs, but you've got this other baby that's actually your business and its own entity,
mm,
and
mm.
having to deal with all that dark stuff as well. Because I'm
Yeah, it was hard.
could have gone through it and then the business not going well either. Like, you don't want to ever think of the negatives, but you were going
Yeah.
through so much, and to create a business unless
Mm,
you're a business owner and a female business owner, you do not
yeah.
understand how hard it is to grow a business.
It's the hardest thing you'll ever do.
Yes. And then you were having that trauma on the, stomach.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of why the business had done so well, because I didn't want to look too much over here. I was like, well, I can't. This isn't a challenge, so I'm just going to put all of my energy here.
Yeah.
And albeit not probably the best thing from a mental health point of view, but I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to be like validated in my business. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build this machine. So yeah, so we took a break then from the whole fertility kind of stuff for a year, and then got the eggs collected then in February 2021.
How did you find that hormonal, you know, people talk about that a lot in regards, it's quite hard on the body and emotionally and mentally, the injections and stuff like that. Did you?
Yeah, I will actually touch on that for sure. I think leading up to that point, there was a lot of healing that needed to happen on both me and Kevin's side as well. Like, because, you know, I felt that innately with the work that I was doing, he also needed to come to the party, and not men don't like personal development.
I do not. They don't like
really until they actually see transformation. Now Kevin loves that, but I had to kind of bring him along a lot to be like, okay, we actually, if we don't grow together, we're going to grow apart. So we're either committed and all this stuff. So we'd done Tony Robbins together, we'd done MJB, like all their programs. We've done a lot of spiritual healing as well together. Yeah, in that time.
And that's
and
great
then
for your relationship and marriage, as much again as how traumatic that was. That's, if you look back, that would have been quite a growth.
yeah, well, there was times like there was conversations that we said, are we even right for each other? Like there was, and we nearly gave up in our marriage. Like we really did, because it all just felt so hard, you know? It really felt really, really hard. And it was like,
Proud of yourselves.
I know. Well, we often say, like, even obviously now we obviously have Saige, but we often say now, you know, the joy that she brings to our lives, like it's like, oh, imagine that we nearly gave that all up, you know, like she wouldn't be here. Like had we had gifts, like failed on our marriage. And honestly, there had been like doubts on both of us, because we weren't going through our world of pain. Like he was dealing with the grief of his dad, as well as like our situation with fertility. It was just like it was just a big ball of shite, to be honest. It was horrible. So I feel like I feel it's like another lifetime. But all that I can say is that I got the eggs. So the whole process of getting the egg collection, I had an under simulation in January 2021. So that was like, okay, I'm going to enjoy my Christmas, and then we're going to go straight then for egg collection, IVF in the January. And because all of our Christmases were absorbed with fertility, or so it seemed. And then got the under simulation. So basically I was about to, it's an under simulation, so they didn't give me enough drugs. So I was about to go for egg collection, and there wasn't enough follicles that were formed. So the drugs, so got that result. And I remember it being the day before Australia Day. And I remember then it being Australia Day was just horrendous. Me and Kevin just had a massive argument, and I was just like, fuck this.
You're pissed off.
Oh, but it was like, you know, when you're upset, you take out your pain on the people closest to you. But that was really tough to accept, that, because that was another setback on top of all the fucking stack of setbacks. It's like, for fuck's sake, is this just going to happen, or what's happening? Like, 'cause I'm doing everything, I'm showing up. Why isn't this happening? Do you know? So even though in the grand scheme of things that was quite a small thing, it was just a stack of the obstacles that we had to overcome to date. And then the next month they changed my drugs, and I ended up collecting 20 eggs. But some of them were immature, so 10 fertilized. We got 5 to day 3, and then day 3 embryos, and then 3 to day 5 embryos. So we ended up with 3 embryos.
So from 20 to 40. I don't think people understand that either.
No, and that actual process of dropping from 10 to 5 to 3, that was absolutely torture. Like I remember getting the updates, and we're like, oh my God, the eggs are 4. You just assume that you're going to end up with 10 embryos. And then they were dropping off like there was no tomorrow. And then we ended up with 3. And I just remember calling Kevin. I'm like, oh, just devastated. I'm like, I've only got 3 after all that. 3. Like, you serious? But then the reality of the situation is they couldn't do a fresh transfer because I had overstimulation. So it's not the right environment.
Under and then you head over.
Yeah. So they said we have to wait 2 months to let your body go back to baseline. Because it's just not the right environment to allow an embryo to attach. And I'm like, okay, fine, no problem. So had my embryo transfer on Anzac Day 2021. 3 years ago.
There you go. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then we found out we were pregnant. And then from the first moment I found out I was pregnant, though, I never really truly allowed myself to get excited or accepted. And I had dream after dream and nightmare after nightmare that I couldn't see the baby's face, or I dropped the baby on its head, and it was just all quite traumatic, to be honest. And I ended up miscarrying. So we went for our first
Oh
scan,
my goodness.
thinking that we were going to see a little bulb on the screen, going to see a heartbeat, and it was an empty sac. So we had a blighted ovum. So I had a silent miscarriage. And then had to have a D&C. So we thought, okay, it might be too early. So we went at like 7.5 weeks, and normally meant to wait till 8. So we were like in denial. But
Mate.
all the while, at that same day that I found out I was having a miscarriage, my mom was having chemo.
Oh my Lord.
So she was, yeah, her first day of having chemo.
Oh God.
So it was her second time having cancer.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so that was really, really tough. And obviously it was the height of COVID as well. So you couldn't even get back to Ireland even if you wanted to. So it was, yeah, it was tough. And then had a D&C the week after. We done another scan. There was definitely no baby there. Had a D&C, booked in for D&C. Just tried to get on with normal life after that. And then they brought me in for a routine check to make sure everything was okay after the miscarriage. And I had went for a check that morning, and it turned out there was like clots all over my uterus.
Lots.
And clots, yeah. So
That wrong?
basically, when they do a D&C, it's a very delicate process. They have to be very gentle. So there was products of conception left
Oh
over from the miscarriage that they never cleared, so they just kept growing and festering.
my Lord. Did
I
you have to
know. So
see?
say again. So yeah. So then I went back to work, and then I had an Instagram live with Brooke that afternoon, Brooke Filinovich,
Oh God.
and I was in work, and it's probably about 2 hours before the live, and I just had like this explosion of blood in the office, which is something that I thought I had avoided in the first miscarriage because it was silent. I didn't have any of the mascara. So I remember like running home, wrapping a cardigan around my waist, and going home, having a shower, to change my clothes, to be like, I was literally to myself. But to this point, I had done so much personal development work. I knew what to do in this situation. I was like, hey, you need to show up for your business right now. You need to compartmentalize this, and you can deal with this later. So I did that, and then came back, done the live. The live went amazing. And at that time, doing lives for me were a huge thing. Like, I was actually really scared to do them.
Yeah.
It was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then after that, then I had to have another D&C. And then my husband then went on a massive healing trip as well after that as well. Um, yeah, we've done.
Did you do emotional healing as well as nutritional food wise as well, or you just sort of did more
It
of the
wasn't really about food for us. It was more spiritual block. So ours was a spiritual, like the way I saw it and the way Kevin saw it was like we can make babies in a dish. But
yeah,
what was happening was there was something stopping us from getting the baby, or bringing the baby earthside. So
yeah.
that's what I felt to be true, my intuition.
Cool.
So we done a lot of plant medicine ceremonies. So we've done mushrooms and Cambo, which is all not mainstream.
No, but did you
We've
like it?
done
I love all that sort of stuff. I've not done
it
it,
was
but
the best, by
yeah,
far the best thing I've ever done.
yeah.
It's the scariest thing I've ever done, but best thing I've ever done. DMT, we've done that as well, but all in a controlled environment. So not it was never a recreation, so it's intention based. So you come
Yeah,
with
yeah,
your
yeah.
intention about
I
what
love
you want
that.
to get out of it.
It's amazing. Yeah,
And we've become better people because of it.
that's good.
And Kevin did it as well. And then Kevin literally came back from his trip and was like, this is a missing piece for us getting our child. And then I had my embryo transfer the month after that, and it turned out to be Saige. And
Oh,
now she was
angel on
born in
earth.
the July 22,
Oh my gosh.
and she is the most divine ray of light, Donna. She's just ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
she's
I
just
wish people could see a photo, but she is, we're like, when I first met her, like we did a lot of work via Zoom, but when I first met her, she's just like that little beam, like happy to see everybody and cuddles everybody, like just that.
she's
She's
been
got,
here before.
oh my gosh. And like, I know I go on about it, but her hair, I've never seen such beautiful hair on a baby. Like people are going to have to search you up to have a look at your beautiful Saige, because
I
she's,
might even send you a headshot of the baby so
yeah,
people
good.
can
Do that
actually
too.
have it.
Let's do that. Let's do
I'll
both.
I'll send you a picture of me and Sage. But yeah, she came
Yeah.
out with the most incredible hair, but I did have like very bad heartburn for like
Well, there you
the
go.
entire time. And this baby, I don't have as bad heartburn. But anyway, we've had Sage.
Yes, it's amazing. You've done
She's
a lot of
amazing.
spiritual
She's
stuff.
just the most biggest ray of sunshine. Like, she's the light of our lives. She's been the most chill baby. And I firmly believe she's been very chill because mommy and daddy went through the ringer together. So she didn't have to come outside and trigger the life out of us. We've dealt with
I
our stuff to a degree.
Yeah. And look, that's a whole other deep section that people just don't even talk about. But,
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this before I conceived my children. And I have absolutely no doubt that we've been through so much trauma, and it was absolutely generational stuff. It was stuff that I
Yeah.
brought, and I'm healing that now, but you've done it
Mm,
before. So good on
mm.
you. And
Yeah. And that was a
how many
gift.
weeks pregnant? I know you're amazing. How many?
And now I'm 23 weeks pregnant, so 5 months now with bub number two. So we had that embryo transfer in December. So because Saige was so blissful, we're like, let's go for another and let's have them close together. And it worked. First go was the last embryo, but I have to say it wasn't really that plain sailing mentally for me. Like, it actually brought up an awful lot of residual trauma from the first miscarriage and the pressure of this working. And it really, like, Christmas was really tough for me. Like I had really bad anxiety, couldn't like, and this whole pregnancy, I've really struggled with pregnancy insomnia. Um, and yeah, my mom's also
That's
not well in
worrying.
Ireland, so I've literally had a lot of mental load as well. So it's just been one of these things that I'm so grateful to be pregnant, but I've really struggled mentally with anxiety, and the pressure of this one working, for
Yeah.
fear of having to go through that again. Because I've been poked and prodded for years, right? So it was like, even though mentally I dealt with it, or so I thought, physically, like, my body still remembers, you know what I mean, what it took to bring her earthside. So I wanted this one to be easy.
Yeah.
And it was, but then I had a trouble receiving of it being so easy, because every time I would go to the toilet, I was expecting to miscarry.
Blood, yeah.
So yeah, and then that, obviously, you're battling with your mindset when you're like, you know better, you shouldn't be thinking these things. Like, I'm always a person that can put myself into any state, and the fact that I'm thinking these things, you're like beating yourself up for thinking them. You know what I mean?
And it's
So
but normal. You've
yeah.
got post-traumatic stress. It is ingrained in your brain and your cells of what
Mm,
you went through. So
mm,
I think, you're amazing to share your story. You're amazing to share your story when you're feeling this way. And like you said,
yeah.
you're well, and you're 23 weeks, like, it just doesn't go away. Like that,
No,
and
it
not
doesn't. It's part of my story, but I think the important thing is, the only reason I can share fertility so openly is because I'm not attached to the story.
yeah,
I'm not attached. I don't let that story define me. It's kind of something that has happened, and it's part of my journey, but I'm not my story, if that makes
yeah.
sense. I'm very much, the story is inspirational for people that are trying, because there's so many people that give up. And
I
we
know.
gave up so many times, nearly gave up so many times
Yeah,
as well.
to
And
be honest.
luckily we didn't.
100%, and the honest truth of how hard it is on the relationships, because marriage is
Mm,
hard anyway. And if people understood that it's not always going to be roses on a normal day, but when you go through such difficult times, that you did hold on, and that you're in a good place together, and you've healed together, and you'll continue healing, and you've got two beautiful children. So, or you will have two children, but
you
that you
baby girls.
yeah, baby girl. But you are sharing your story for hope. That one person
Mm,
here, they're in the thick of the shit, and feel
mm.
like giving up, and that there's hopefully always an answer.
Totally. And that's why I'm writing a book, Donna. So my book is based on resilience, because of all the other things I've went through in life. But, like, more so, the biggest reason why I'm writing is because fertility is the key that unlocked everything in my life. So, like, leaning into that shadow and leaning into the pain, and, like, showing up and be like, I'm trusting that this is here to show me,
That's right.
like, I'm doing, obviously, so I'm not getting the lesson. So I really need to understand what this lesson is, to go through it, to get me to the side, to the light, because everything's a phase, everything happens in cycles. So,
Yes.
the book for me is a gift to my children, to let them know how much they're wanted. So
Yeah.
it's going to be part of the legacy I leave behind. It's more of a testament to what people go through, but also the resilience that's required to go through hard times in life, because I feel like we live in a world where people don't talk about problems. They don't want to entertain them, but they also, from my perception, people want quick instant results straight away, even in my in
Well,
my
that's a
industry.
big way of people like
It,
living now.
it, it it's in general, because we live in a world of instant gratification, because of socials, and everything's at a touch of a button. We forget that things are actually a journey. And sometimes when you just
Got to
hold
keep
on and go
reminding
through the journey.
That's right. And I think with the platforms that you and I have, and they're all very different, and we are, I feel, a bit similar in the way of personalities, you know, vivacious and out there and want to save the world for people. Being able to share your story that, you know, things take time, be patient, you know, surrender to it, accept and heal.
Absolutely. And you never stop healing. You just have to,
No, that's
like,
right.
oh, that's
That's
interesting.
yeah. No,
I'm conscious of that now. Okay,
no,
how can I do that different?
right. That'll be different. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very much appreciative of you being a guest and sharing your story, because it's a very personal story, but hopefully someone hears and that you've
My
given them.
pleasure. And can I just say one thing?
Oh.
If anyone that's listening hasn't actually used Donna as your sleep fairy godmother, can you just please do yourself a favor and get her on board? Because can I just speak to that for 2 minutes before we finish? Because I met even though Donna's been in my world, we started working together March last year. And at the time, Saige went from waking once a night to 7 times a night when we moved house. And Donna, like from the first night I got the sleep plan from Donna, Saige slept straight through. And the amount of people that say to me, how your child sleeps so much. I'm like, yeah, Donna, you need to talk to Donna. Donna is amazing. Donna, Donna, Donna. I just found my experience with motherhood so much more easier because my daughter slept.
Yeah.
And I had that transition of that 6 weeks where she did. And I was like, I just highly, highly recommend everything that you do. And you've literally made our like a whole experience even that much bit more blissful. So highly recommend if you have a child that doesn't sleep. I'm taking control here now. Get in
Yeah.
contact with Donna. She's incredible. And even with this baby, I'm like to Kevin, I'm like, if we can't get this child in routine the first 5 weeks, I'm like, Donna is like, we're on to Donna. This is
Speed
just gonna
on.
happen.
Speed on. Oh, that's very sweet. And you know, you know how
Pleasure.
passionate I am around sleep, and it is so important. And
It's
so
everything.
enjoys parenting much better when you're sleeping, don't they?
Well, 100%, given that I'm struggling with insomnia
I
myself
know.
and Sage is sleeping. It's like usually your child is sleeping when you're pregnant and this other baby's waking me up, but whatever, it's fine.
You're growing a human. Well, thank you, my
I
love.
know.
Mm.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me, my love, and I will speak to you soon, okay?
Bye. Thank you. Bye.